I can already hear the fucking comments now.
Gay!
So yeah, I actually watched all the Twilight movies. Now, look, I have seen them before, but it's been so long and I didn't really pay attention to them. And I remember I only watched them because 50 Shades of Grey came out, and I figured that there's no way that these movies could possibly be worse than that, because I knew what 50 Shades of Grey was. I knew it was fan fiction of Twilight. And normally fan fiction's much more cringier than the actual source material. So I figured, hey, why not watch these, right? So I did. But I also remember I was playing WoW at the time, and I was kind of like tuning it out. And I never really give it a chance. And I kind of was on that whole bandwagon, which I don't really like joining bandwagons because I know that people are just usually stupid and biased when it comes to things. But when it came to like the Twilight thing, I was all like, yeah, this series is fucking stupid. It's just terrible acting, blah, 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 blah. I never truly give it an opportunity to see like how bad it was or how good it could possibly be. So I actually took the time to watch these movies. And I read the first two books. And I've got to say, it's really not that bad. Not gonna lie, it's kind of... sure, there was a lot of cringe moments, of course. I will give a lot of props to the CGI for, the wolves. The wolves look fucking badass. Some of the, cutesy-dootsy moments where, like, Jasper and fucking Alice would be, like, kissing and stuff. I was just kind of like, oh my god, come on. It's cringy to me, but I also understand that, the demographic and the target audience for these books and movies were not for people like me. They were for teenage girls. And I think, like, the reason I was able to stomach it and, like, not absolutely hate it is because I grew up watching Inuyasha. And if you don't know, Inuyasha is basically a romantic anime, romantic manga targeted towards teenage girls. And I fucking loved Inuyasha growing up, so I know, it's whatever. But watching the Twilight movies, I was just kind of like, okay, I kind of like these movies, and I'm not going to lie. And controversial opinion, I think they were better than the Harry Potter movies. And I know that's going to piss some people off, but I mean, it is what it is. I have a lot of gripes when it came to the Harry Potter movies because I read the books, and I did not like the fact from the third movie onwards, it was just kind of like, wearing a uniform didn't matter anymore. The landscape of Hogwarts is completely different from the first two. I always thought the first two Harry Potter books were just, and the movies were just even better. But when it came to like the movies, they were just like terrible. Now take it, I've only read Twilight and New Moon, and I haven't actually touched the other ones yet, but I did enjoy the movies. I know everyone hates New Moon. They say it's like the worst of the Twilight series. Personally, I liked it. I think I liked it the second best out of all of them. Funny enough, I think the best of the Twilight movies was actually Breaking Dawn Part 1, because I was actually like really invested in it when I was watching. I didn't even get on my phone the entire time the movie was on, and that is fucking saying something. And I also know when it comes to these movies as well, a lot of people have a problem with the whole sparkly vampire shit. Here's the thing, and I'm so sick of people talking about vampire lore, like, oh, that's not what vampires do. Did you know vampires originally were not fucking bloodsuckers? You can thank the Dracula movie, I forgot, Bram Stokes, or whatever the fuck his name is. Originally, vampires in the original vampire lore were these weird, creepy, like, long-armed, really tall, weird monster people, and they ate bones and shit. Like, the whole blood-sucking aspect is just, in all of the vampire lore's history, canonically, when it comes down to it, the blood-sucking thing's, like, probably the most infantile one in, like, the last 100 years we've been talking about that. So, I'm fine with it. I don't really care that they can, like, walk around there in the sunlight. Who gives a shit? Personally, I always thought it'd be cool if, like, this is something I used to want to do. I used to want to write stories and stuff all the time, but I'm terrible at writing. I always thought it'd be really cool to have, like, a vampire story where, you find out the sunlight doesn't kill them. It just reveals what they really look like. And they need the mask around in the dark to kind of be attractive to, lure people in. I always thought it was kind of dumb, like, whenever you become a vampire, you just basically become a superhero because you just gain super speed and everything. And I was just kind of like, what the fuck? How? Okay, so you die and get drained of your bodily fluids and you gain super strength and speed. Like, okay, sure. And for the most part, it's like that in Twilight too. And honestly, I'd have to say, I think the vampires in Twilight are probably the most powerful vampires in cinema, right? Right? Am I thinking that right? Because, like, from what I understand of the books, they're like incredibly diamondly hard to break their skin or whatever. They're like nigh indestructible. The only way to really get rid of them is to like light them on fire after like decapitating them. I'm over here thinking like, damn, Blade would have a really tough time with these guys, you know? Another thing I did like is that whole fight scene, which, if you don't know, because apparently it's still a big deal, I think it's probably one of the greatest cinematic plot twists ever made, if not the best one. Now, take it, I haven't read Breaking Dawn, and I should have read that before I've seen the movie. But I do know that the fight scene in the movie, spoiler alert, does not exist in the book. So I can just imagine, I can just imagine all the fucking people who went there to go see that movie on opening night because it was a big fucking deal. This is a multi-billion-dollar company, or multi-billion-dollar franchise. Of course, this had an opening night premiere. But I can just imagine everyone losing their collective shit when main characters were just dying in a final fight that wasn't supposed to exist in the book. And guess what? There's actually a YouTube video of it, because I looked it up, because I was very curious if somebody actually filmed that. And they did. And honestly, the people freaking out, I feel like they had a bigger freak out than the people who went to go see Avengers Endgame, or, yeah, just Avengers Endgame. Because, like, my two best cinematic experiences is when I went and saw Infinity War on opening night, because everyone left that theater fucking depressed. And I hate superhero movies, but I actually walked out, I was like, God damn, I don't know what to feel right now. Like, I was just kind of like, holy shit. And when I went to go see A Quiet Place, because I didn't realize how fucking loud people are until I seen that movie. Because me just chewing popcorn, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to die in this universe. Like, I can't live. Like, you can't do anything in The Quiet Place without, making noise. And I thought that was an interesting movie experience for me. But I can only imagine people who went to go see Breaking Dawn Part 2 and just seeing Carlisle like get his head taken off at the very beginning of that fight, and you'd be like, that wasn't in the book, what the fuck? So for me, it was just like, holy shit. You know what's really funny too is there's a famous picture of me on my Facebook page when I had so I was dating a girl named Hope, and she wanted me to go take her to Walmart to go get the new Moon movie, and I was the only man in that line, and I will never forget that fucking time. It was just a bunch of fucking girls and their moms, and I was the only guy in line, and I was so embarrassed to be in that line because I was like, what the fuck? And I had actually seen Twilight before at a friend's house because she wanted me to go watch Twilight, and I was like, all right, I didn't know what the fuck it was. And all I had remembered from that movie was Vampire Baseball, which I was just kind of like, what the fuck? So I was standing in that line, we got New Moon, and I remember like the YouTube parodies and people just talking shit about there's all these movies have better love stories than Twilight. I'm just kind of like, all right, dude. Like, even then I was annoyed by it, but I had a picture of me where I had made a face like, or something like that, And it was just funny to me because it was like the first 5 minutes of New Moon, and I just could not stand what I was watching. But as it turns out, it's really not that bad. Like I said, I think New Moon's probably my second favorite of the movies. And it's mainly for one specific scene, which I think is the best scene in the entire franchise. Look at me like talking about Twilight for nearly 10 minutes. Holy shit, I did not expect that. I really thought this was going to be like a 2-minute video. So it's the scene in New Moon where the wolves are chasing Victoria. And you got that song Hearing Damage playing by, I think it's the lead singer from Radiohead. I might be wrong on that. And it's just that whole chase sequence. I thought that was a really good scene. The cinematography, everything was just fucking great. I feel like the budget was definitely a lot higher. I haven't checked, but I'm pretty sure it was a lot higher for New Moon, which is why they were able to do better tricks like that. I mean, it would make sense because the wolves still look fucking cool. I mean, it's been like, 12 years since the last movie or some shit? And the wolves are still great. Like, I still love watching them. And I know everyone's biggest gripe with these damn movies, other than the whole weird love story shit, is, the whole Jacob and the baby thing, and the baby's horrible CGI. And I get it. I understand the baby CGI is just, there's no excuse for that. Your budget was like $200 million, and you couldn't do anything about the CGI for the baby. But for the whole Jacob falling in love with Renesmee, or whatever her name is, that didn't bother me because I understand it was imprinting, and it's not necessarily like I'm gonna fuck this baby or whatever. It's just more of like Like, I could be whatever she wants me to be, because he literally says that, I think, in, like, Eclipse. Look, I just watched these movies, so that's why it's still kind of fresh. But he was talking about imprinting, and it's kind of like what animals do. And, he said wolf man thing. It's not necessarily a werewolf, because from what I understand, that, they're not really werewolves. They're like shapeshifters. But the whole aspect of imprinting, it's like I could be a lover, I could be a brother, I could be a friend, whatever you need me to be. And everyone's just like, oh, he just wants to go and that baby. And I never actually took it that way. I mean, the jokes are funny, sure, but like I never saw it that way. I don't know, like overall, I really surprisingly enjoyed these movies. Funny enough, I enjoyed these movies better than the Disney Star Wars franchise, because I hated those movies. I used to like Star Wars, and then when Disney bought the rights from Lucas, I was just kind of like, yeah, this is the end of that. And I knew it was going to be the end of it. Everyone was being all optimistic for it, and it just turned out to be, fucking terrible. But it is what it is, right? I think Twilight is probably not as bad as people want to say it is. I mean, if you go in there, like, not trying to shit on it and just be a fucking asshole the whole time, because, like, look, the people that are just going to sit there and make fun of Twilight will go eat up any Marvel movie and think it's the greatest shit ever, and it's really not. Like, the Marvel movies are so fucking bad. And people just think, oh my god, I can't wait to go see the new Spider-Man. I can't wait for them to, not have his own villain, because every villain in these new Spider-Man movies are like Tony Stark villains. Or they belong to a different Spider-Man. They're not really necessarily Tom Holland's villains. So, people sit there and eat that shit up, but when they go see the Twilight movies, they just, like, make fun of it. And I'm glad I went in there with an open mind, and I didn't want to just, like, tear this movie apart, because I normally do that. But I'm also, intelligent enough to know that these movies were not made for people like me. They were meant for, teenage girls. So I kept that in mind, and I thought the movies were great. I thought they were fine. I'd probably, if I had to rate it, I'd give it a 6.5 out of 10. That's how I kind of see it. I do want to say this. I think the thing that I really appreciate about it, too, is the 1,000 Years song that plays at the end of Breaking Dawn 2, like during the end credits. I really appreciate that it took the time to show every single character throughout these movies before it got to the main cast. I thought that was really cool, because movies doesn't, no movie does that. I've never seen a movie do that before. Like, normally they just, like, acknowledge, like, the main cast, but they never acknowledge everybody who even had a small role in the movie. Because they acknowledged the black guy from Breaking Dawn 2. And he was like the bank clerk or something. I forgot what his job was. But he was talking to Bella, and he was like, he gave her like this little envelope or whatever. But he was in the credits too, and they acknowledged it. And I was just kind of like, that's pretty good. Like, I feel like other movies should really do that. And it just kind of really finalizes that, that this is the end of the whole thing. And I'm not going to lie, it kind of made me a little sad, because I was just like, I didn't think I'd enjoy these movies as much as I did. And fun fact, apparently Forks, Washington is a real place. I had no idea. I actually got curious when I was reading New Moon. So because of that, I actually want to go take a road trip down there. If I want to look at it on Google, it looks like a really pretty area. So in the future, I probably would not have a problem living there, funny enough. And it's not that I want to live there because of the Twilight shit. It's just more of like, it looks like the kind of area that I would like to live. It's like a small town area. It's close to the beach, mountains and greenery. Like, I like desert themes, but like green forest, I like green forest. And it's colder up there. I don't like the fact that it rains, of course. That'd probably be the only problem I'd really have with it. But I think it'd be really cool, Like, I like small town vibes. I live in LA. I'm kind of sick of the big city. So, I don't know. If you guys have seen Twilight, let me know if you enjoyed it. Let's try to be a little fair here. I don't think it's fair for people to just like shit on these movies without really trying to take the time to learn about them and give them a chance. That's what you should do, and that's what I did. So I don't regret anything. So I'll leave it on that note. Thank you guys very much for watching. If you haven't already, please leave a like, and if you want to, subscribe, because I don't mind doing more movie things in the future whenever I get around to it or take an interest in a movie. I really did not plan on this video being 15 minutes long, but hey, leave it on that. Thank you very much, and you guys have a good weekend. Goodbye.